Hi, I'm Sarah.
And I'm David. And we got to talk about Big Brother 23, even though we're apart. I'm sorry, Sarah. We've got a possible COVID exposure at work, so we're back to the remote. But once I get my negative test result, I'm feeling fine. Once we have that negative, we'll be back together.
You're vaccinated. You feel fine. Gonna be fine. But what a weird world that we live in. So this is what we do to stay safe. But first, before we get into Big Brother, if you're new to this channel, please click subscribe and give this video a thumbs up.
Yes, and if you want to support us on Patreon, we would love that. And there's a link in the description, and it's right there on the screen too. So many ways.
It is. Come join our Discord and chat with us.
It's fun.
Hi guys. We have
everybody.
A Sunday episode to talk about, and then we've got some spoilers from the weekend that are quite hilarious. So
quite hilarious. Quite.
Can't wait to dive into those. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, but on our Sunday episode, we're starting right after the eviction of Frenchie. He Frenched and he's gone. And Xavier won the HOH, possibly by accident. And he is now in the diary room, being convinced by the producers to say that this is an HOH he wanted to win, and he's happy that he won it.
Sure. Really wanted this one. Yeah, he wanted it. Sure, we believe you, whatever you say. Now we also get sort of the introduction here of the Royal Flush. This is one of the alliances that did come together last week. Took them a while to become official. But they did. And they are currently our majority alliance in the house.
I know.
1,001 alliances.
Truly.
But this one is the majority.
Basically, they're like currently running things, sort of.
The Kings, Queens plus Derek X is basically the breakdown of it there.
Their ace up the sleeve is Derek X. So that makes them the Royal Flush. I think it's a cute name for an alliance. But yeah, they are the majority. You know, after the dissolution of the slaughterhouse, we've got the Royal Flush now.
It didn't make it. It did not make it.
It did not. Thank God.
I just have to, real quick, I have to say, I hope you guys don't get annoyed with my astrology because it's just going to keep coming. Sorry.
Here to stay. Yeah.
Yep. But when Miranda and we did a video preseason and we looked at the astrological transits and stuff happening during the Big Brother season, compare that to basically you do a birth chart of the season, like when it premiered is like when it
fun.
So what we saw and what we sort of like came to the conclusion after looking at it all was that there was a lot of Aquarius vibes, which is like friendly, like friends, social, but then it would get mixed up. So we felt like there'd be like alliances or friendships that would form and then they would get mixed up and sort of break up and then like reshift and reform and then break up. Like these were going to be the cycles of the summer. And I got to say, we're already...
You're dead on.
Seeing it. Yeah.
Yeah. No, that is the story of this season so far, for sure.
I was like, wow, we're actually really good at this, Miranda.
No, truly. Who saw that coming? But you're right. And it's not necessarily like alliances breaking apart and there's like all this bad blood and It's just a little shift, like you said. It's sort of like spreads apart and then it reforms just a little bit different. It's almost like a virus, right? That goes around and mutates and finds different forms.
David, too soon.
Bad analogy. Scrap that one.
We don't like your virus humor. But you know what humor I do like, and that's a roasting Brent segment.
Oh my God. This was so good. And it's just him really trying to flirt with everybody. And nobody likes it. I mean, they're all doing a decent job, I think. I mean, I think you could behave any kind of way to Brent and he'd be like, you're into me, right? But they're, I think, like kind of flirting back a litlittle bit. They're not totally shutting him down, but behind his back, they are shutting it down. They are like, he's the worst. God, we hate him.
So good. Because, I mean, all we've really seen from Brent is like kind of that first week with Frenchie where it almost seemed like he was running things. And I feel like the casual television viewers were missing the true beauty that is Brent. And that's his enormous, humongous, gigantus ego. It's off the charts.
Yeah.
It's crazy. And the way that he thinks he is God's gift to women, yet no woman in this house
none
wants to even cuddle with him. Like it's real bad for him.
And it's bad because it really is like largely a personality thing. Like a lot of them are like, he's a good looking dude, but he is so ugly to me because of just how he is. I'm like, oh, that is when you're that bad. Because he's someone they cast as like a hot dude that could like be in a showmance. That's why Brent is on the show, right? So for his personality to be so bad that it overcomes this like good body, whatever, it's bad. It's real bad.
It's so bad. Oh gosh. And I think he's so confused on why he's not in a showmance. He doesn't get it. But these are the things we've had to live with on the feeds. And you're right. For the most part, the girls are like, yes, blow up his ego, fluff him up. And, but Hannah's actually really good at roasting. Like she can only do so much. And she'll be like, you're arrogant. And he's like, oh, like she'll kind of throw stuff back at him. And I appreciate it. And I just really appreciated this segment, especially since we're 99% sure he's leaving this week. Like this was the perfect time to really just lay it out there for all the viewers.
Yeah. Just before he goes, we're going to let you know what he's really like. So we do get into a little bit of strategy after the delicious Brent roast. And this is when Tiffany is up there talking to Xavier. And they're kind of touching on what we touched on in the last video, which is Xavier's in too many alliances. He has too many allies and his options are way too limited. And his options are what we expected them to be, which is Brent, Whitney, and Brittany. So those are the three people that Xavier's kind of looking at is like, okay, you're the only ones left. Like, I don't necessarily want to put up Brittany, but I feel like I have no choice,
Yeah, basically Tiffany here is like, are you willing to put him up? Because I think she knows. Man is in lots of alliances. He's technically aligned with Brent. He's definitely been buddy with Brent. And like, are you even willing to do it? Which I was like, I don't think he is. But he says he is at this point. And it's just a matter of who he's going to put up next to him. And I'm sorry, you cuddle with Whitney. So stop trying to tell me it's going to be Whitney.
Right? I know. And obviously he's not going to like come out and say that to Tiffany. Like, well, Whitney's kind of my girl. Yeah. But he's kind of like trying to talk around that. Like, what else could I say that takes the conversation away from Whitney? Because I don't want to put Whitney up.
Yep. Now we get a cute little Showmances package. And this is accurate. I mean, Christian and Alyssa are technically smooching it up. They are in a showmance. Derek X and Hannah are just in a flirtmance. Yeah. I'm not even sure if Derek has feelings for Hannah. We just know that Hannah likes him, but they're definitely cute together.
They are cute together. And like, based on what we've seen on the feeds, like, I wouldn't consider it like any kind of like ride or die showmance whatsoever. Like, no, that's not like they are loyal till the end. Specifically, Derek X, I think, is not loyal to the end with Hannah, but it's cute to see them flirt.
Yeah, no, that's true. I think she's definitely into him more, but she's teaching him a lot about the game. And that's great because he is so smart. And I love watching him talk through things and process things. And he really is trying to learn the game. And he's playing very well for someone who didn't know what show he was on.
No, he's a quick study, I would say. Like, especially this episode, he got a lot of confessionals and got a lot of credit the way the show was edited for this plan that they cook up for the wild card competition. Because he starts, talking to Hannah and they're saying like, ugh, Brent is so annoying. We need to make sure that he is the target. And so this is where Derek sort of starts to say like, I want to play it and throw it so that Brent will not be safe. Like, we got to figure out a way that my team is not safe. So I need to find a way to, convince my team, let me play. And then, sorry, Brent, you're not going to be safe.
Actually, it's interesting because we find out, how this one ends. He actually could have won taken the safety because the other people were going to be safe. And Brent would definitely not have been safe, but you just don't know.
You don't know.
Because the first week, it was people on your team are going to be safe. So Derek X knows that he needs to play, but throw it. What we also, we don't see in the show, but that happened on the feeds was Xavier touching base with Tiffany and asking her to play as well. He was really trying to stack it so that Brittany would not win and could be an option to go up.
Right. Because that's the other piece of this plan is that they know Brittany's going to play because, you know, she feels like a target. She was just on the block, and they want to make sure that Brent is not safe and Brittany is also not safe. So they've got to like, you know, Tiffany and Derek X are like communicating with each other like, okay, Tiffany, you have to win this so that Brent is not safe and Brittany is not safe. So it's actually a really smart plan. And, you know, like you say, Derek X came in not really knowing this game very well, and he's picking it up pretty quickly.
Yeah. So for this wild card comp, we got Brittany, Tiffany, and Derek X who are going to play. We get a little touch base with Tiffany and Derek X beforehand of like, let's take out Brittany, and Derek X is going to throw it. Like, so they've got their plan set up there. They have to eliminate each other. It's knockout style, but they have to do it with math. And they have to go over a wobbly balance beam.
Yes. Now, I would not put any of these people on my blackjack team, Sarah, because they were bad at the math. There were multiple times where they could have taken Brittany out early, and then where Tiffany could have taken Derek X out, and it just didn't happen. They just were moving the wrong cards.
I mean, I know you're running and you're doing other things, and you can miscount, but it's 13. Is it really that hard? How did we miscount that many times? Because there was
Brittany.
Go ahead.
You go. I was going to say Brittany stared at Derek X's cards for too long for her to not be able to add them up. It's single digits that we're working with here. You know?
Yeah. She's like, the fact that she stood there for so long means she's like got to start over and she's struggling, right? She knows she's not just like, oh, I got through it. It's 12 and she was wrong and she moved on. She cannot get it. And she's like, what are numbers? And you're like, this is it. This is the answer right here. And we see the house guests. They're like, do it.
That's the answer. Yeah.
Yes. And unfortunately she doesn't get it. She moves on. Oh, I wish she had got it because that would have changed a lot that happened this weekend. But then watching Tiffany stand over Derek X when she could also have eliminated him. Yes. And she's missing it. And then she ran back 3 more times before she eliminated him. I was like, girl, take a breather. You could have got it already.
Truly. And there was an early one where Derek X could have eliminated Brittany like pretty early on in the edit. And they didn't even focus on this in the episode edit. But there was like she was at 10 and he had a 5 and he just needed to swap the 2 instead of the 1. I mean, it's like too complicated to explain here, but he had it. Like he had a card where if he had swapped the right card, Brittany would have been out. And I'm like, so it's not just Brittany and Tiffany who are struggling. Derek X is also struggling. So they were, I guess, that balance beam and being out of breath and disoriented. Their brains were not working right because it took way longer than it should have to end this competition.
Right. I mean, I get it. I would have been like 5, 6, 7. But gosh, I don't know apparently it's hard. It's hard.
I guess. Yeah. They choked.
Yeah, because they all did. You're right. They all did. Yeah. So we unfortunately see Brittany eliminated first. And I say unfortunately because that does spiral some events. And then Tiffany eventually gets Derek X out. And then Tiffany is able to win this comp.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, the other thing I was kind of curious about, Sarah, was how Tiffany ended up with 2 cards in her.
Because nobody was focusing on
her box. But there were moments in the comp where she had 4 cards in her box. So I'm like, how did they remove 2 cards?
There were?
Yeah.
Oh, that's some weird editing then.
It was weird. I don't know what was happening there, but
I have to imagine that was editing because like they were very much focusing on Brittany. So it makes sense that she would only have 2 cards.
Yeah, I guess so.
I don't know. Mm-hmm.
Anyway.
So Tiffany wins this, but her safety comes with a high price.
A high price.
Of one person on 2 other teams, the Aces and the Jokers, would each get one, we don't know how, seemingly random or somehow safe teammate.
Yeah.
And she can't take this safety.
I could have used a little bit more from Tiffany in like a DR or something explaining how she's going to justify that she didn't want safety for her and 2 other people in the house. Like they were like, we're going to give you a moment to think about it. And then the moment happened and she was like, I decline. And I'm like, but this is actually a pretty easy yes to me. Like, unless you got a plan cooking up that's like shady, which you do, but you don't want to be obvious about that. Like, why wouldn't you? Are you
talking about like a public to the house?
No, I could have used a DR segment from Tiffany being like, okay, so this seems like a good deal. Like, I get to be safe and 2 other people get to be safe. But here's why I'm saying no. Like, here's the risk. You know, I wanted a little bit more of an explainer. Okay, tell me what it is then, because I missed it.
Okay, so I either heard it or I just heard it in my head because I know the answer. Yeah. So chat can help me out on that. But what I thought I heard was her saying, Brent is the target.
Yes.
I can't accidentally have him safe. And Brittany or Whitney are also the target. I can't accidentally get them safe because those are Aces and Jokers. Those are the 2 teams someone randomly is going to be safe. So to leave those targets available, how does she take the safety?
Right. Okay, I get that. But that plan is a secret. So like I just felt a little shady for me. Like it felt like she was kind of putting some cards on the table here by not accepting safety, you know? Yeah. And there wasn't any kind of effort to like cover that up at all, you know?
Yeah, no, I mean, what I would have liked to have seen is more people go, why didn't Tiffany need safety? But I think they already know.
Okay.
That she's in with everybody and she was not in danger, but I still want to see you paranoid about it. I still want to see you go, why didn't Tiffany need safety? I mean, what I really would have liked to have seen is Brittany have won this. No, I want to see Brittany winning this because she has to take safety. She does not have a choice. She knows she needs to take safety and it doesn't matter what the consequences are. So we would have seen her take it and then we would have had 2 other people safe. And would they have been Brent? Who would that have been? And then we have a messy week and I'm here for a messy week.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, as much fun as it has been to watch Brent just crash and burn game wise, it is more fun to have a messy week. Too. So yeah. It's like an easy week, but it's also entertaining. It definitely is. Yeah. Right. So the plan works. The house kind of catches on, you know, as they're watching. I mean, clearly Brittany catches on too, but the house is also watching and they're realizing like, okay, Tiffany and Derek X are clearly ganging up on Brittany here and gunning for her. And not everyone was filled in on that plan. So following this competition, we get this, you know, moment in the bedroom with Derek F, with Sarah Beth, Ozza, and Brittany. Brittany's obviously the most upset, but Sarah Beth, Derek F, and Ozza also seem to be confused and, you know, why is this happening? And also, why weren't we told that this was going to happen? Yeah. We didn't see all of the fallout because there was drama. This was on Friday and there was a lot of drama because Derek F and Ozza sat there and watched their teammate Brittany get targeted and they're not fully looped in on this entire plan. They think Brent and Whitney are the 2 going up. They don't think Brittany is a part of this at all. And you got to keep in mind that last week they were legitimately targeted, right? They had 2 of their members on the block and then they lost a member. Like they are the underdogs in the house. They have no power and they feel beat up on. And then they watch their teammate get ganged up on. And so in the moment, they're a little heated and upset. And they both were like, what happened? What happened, guys? What's going on? And, you know,
everyone individually handles things differently and takes some people longer to calm down and get a full picture. But what I did feel uncomfortable with is that we saw the conversation with Tiffany and Derek saying, we'll go after Brittany. But Tiffany also had a conversation with Brittany, according to Brittany, that they were going to go after Derek. And so when Brittany tells her teammates, Azah and Derek, that, they're like, this doesn't add up. That doesn't add up. Why would she say one thing to you and then she do another thing? I mean, it was a questionable move, I thought, for Tiffany, because Tiffany's in such a good place. Like, why did you have to show your cards here? Derek's going to throw it. Why don't you just target both of them? Make it not so obvious that you're targeting Brittany. That choice was interesting to me. But I just don't think she cares about Brittany's game. So she just was like, whatever.
Yeah, I think that's right. So, they're sort of, it's too bad, like you say, that we didn't see more of that on the show, because this is really all that we see. Although we do see a little bit of the fallout here in the one-on-ones that we see that Xavier is holding, but we are really only seeing 2 one-on-ones and then sort of a mini one-on-one with Brent. But the first one-on-one is with Tiffany because, Tiffany's in charge. And this is when we see more of Xavier sort of explaining, here's why, okay, Tiffany, hear me out. This is why I cannot put Whitney on the block next to Brent. And it's because Whitney and Brent are on the same team. How crazy would that be to put 2 people from the same team on the block, Tiffany? And she's like, okay, whatever. As long as Brent goes up on the block, I am 100% with you, Xavier.
Yeah, I wish they had shown Sarah Beth's one-on-one, because she was like, what are you doing? Why can't you put Whitney up? I mean, Xavier never says, look, guys, I cuddle with Whitney. She's not going up. He never says that, but I think that's what he's feeling. He's super worried about Brent being upset with him. Yeah. That's it. Okay. And I'm not going to hold back. I think that's weak gameplay. I think Xavier is so scared of anyone being mad at him. Yeah. And he'd rather, a weaker player like Brittany be upset than, play the actual game of Big Brother. But this is not a horrible move. I just think it's on par with what we've seen from Xavier, that he's not really willing to play this game. He's not willing to get. I mean, I question that he ever will. He's trying to get to the end and everyone just go what a good guy that Xavier was. Let's give him the win. And I ain't here for that gameplay at all. But I mean, time will tell. We'll see. We'll see what happens.
Yeah. But we definitely knew that this early, he was not interested in making any kind of waves, making any kind of big moves. So he's just trying to find the path of least resistance here. But he is meeting a little bit of resistance from Azah in their one-on-one. Yes. And she's very much like, why do you have to do this? Why do you have to put Brittany up? She has been beat up on. She does not need to go up again. If your target is Brent, put up his right-hand woman next to him. She is just coming at him with the logic, right? The logic. And he's like, ooh, I really cannot defend this decision. And she's like, put me up. If you need a pawn, put me up. Do not put Brittany up. You're working with me. I feel fine. Use me as a pawn. She is, which I don't love that, right? I don't love people volunteering to be pawns, but she's so worked up here that she's like, use me. I beg you not to put Brittany on the block.
Yeah. She's like, I'm the one that has to be there for Brittany for a second week in a row, being upset about being on the block. Screw it. Don't do that to her again. Put me up. And okay, I understand where you're coming from, Azah, but please don't ever say that you'll go up on the block. But she also said, why are you, she's like, put me on the block. I'm not scared of him. He's going home. I'm not scared of him. And he's like, what, you think I'm scared of him? And I was like, yeah, I do, Xavier. I do think you're scared of Brent. Yeah. So again, valid points coming from a lot of different people, but lawyer man was not going to change his mind. He had his set little plan here, and that's all that was going to happen.
Yeah. So, Oz is kind of arguing with him in vain here, but she gives it her best shot. She really was there for Brittany. You know, if anything ever comes down to like, did Ozza fight hard enough for Brittany? She did. Okay.
Sure
she really
did.
went to the mat for her here in ways that I didn't love, but whatever. Then we see Xavier have, this wasn't like the formal one-on-one, right? This is just like him pulling Brent up.
Yeah, they had their one-on-one earlier, and that's when Brent said, we got to go after Brittany and Ozza. And that's when Xavier's like, well, we're not going after Ozza, but let's go after Brittany. And we'll put Brent up next to her, and I'll make him think that he's the pawn here and that I need a strong guy to compete for Veto. So now he's just, for whatever, again, this is stupid, Xavier. I don't understand how he plays this game, but he's like, now I'll ask Brent if he's okay with this. No, why are you asking?
I know.
Guess what? He's not okay with it.
He's not. He's definitely not. He's like, oh, you know what? Actually, I don't make a great pawn because I'm a threat. And people see that. And so this doesn't make any sense for you to use me as a pawn. And he's just like, again, this is like another moment where Xavier's like, oh, I just really wanted this to be smooth and like nobody to push back. And Brent is pushing back here because he's like, people are not going to believe that I'm a pawn. That doesn't make any sense, Xavier.
He means I don't believe that I'm a pawn because you know what? He's not pawn material. Just like physically, he's not pawn material. He's a threat. And I just go, well, you're on my draft team, Brent. Let me see how many points you've gotten me. None.
None.
So,
oh, wow.
I don't understand what kind of threat you are, Brent. I would like you to be. Please get me some points.
Sorry, Sarah.
But no. But physically, he's not pawn material. This is going to be a betrayal. And again, why Xavier is even bringing this up, because he's not going to change his path here.
I know.
Set his course, and so just move forward, okay?
Move on. So he does, right? We go to the nomination ceremony. Brent is the first nominee. Brittany is the second nominee. Brent's face is kind of like, you did it. Okay.
Yeah,
you did it. And Brittany is just like in tears immediately. What I did love, and I don't know if this was like strategy, but like, I feel like if I were on the show and somebody did that, right? And I was like really upset, I would stare off into the distance. Brittany takes that tear-stained face and puts it right in Xavier's face. And I'm like, go girl. Make him look at that face with those tears welling up in those eyes. Like, make him feel the guilt for putting you on the block. Like, good for you.
Yes. Well, she's legit upset. I do appreciate that she knows the plan at least. You know, last week she was really upset because she had no idea she was going up on the block. At least she does know it's happening. She's still going to be upset. And it's no fun to hear in the nomination speech that you're the target.
Yes.
And that Brent just needs to be like the physical player to make sure his target goes home. Nobody wants to hear that.
Yeah.
No,
sucks.
I totally understand that she's upset. What I wish that she could do is like after she processes being upset, and same thing with Ozza, like after they process being upset, okay, now what's your game move? Now what you got for me? You know, come, what you got? Come back with something. Are you going to make a deal with somebody? Are you like, what you got for me? And that's what I haven't seen yet. Yeah. So that's a bummer.
Yep. But that is the episode, right?
That's it, you guys.
That's it. Oh,
all right. Man. Unfortunately, we are not in place, but we're going to do this anyway.
Okay.
I forget how.
Do you go and then I go? Or?
No, you're going to go first.
I
do the timing. So I'm going to count us in. Okay.
Okay.
On 3.
Yeah.
1, 2, 3.
Spoilers. I'm sure that was horrendous.
If that's not a 10 out of 10, then I don't know what to
More
tell
fun
ya.
to do that in person.
Well, okay. You know what, Seth? This is not what we need to hear.
3 out of 10, Seth. Dang.
Thank you, A, for effort. Thank you. That's what I appreciate.
You know what I always wished? This is a tangent, but I always wished effort started with A. Do you know what I mean?
Just so that you could say A for
effort.
Mm-hmm.
Like A is for effort, right? Like A for effort just doesn't really land the way that I wanted to. I understand the messaging there, but like if effort started with A, oh my God, you would have a saying on your hands there.
Right.
I'd use it all the time.
Nailed it. Right.
Yeah.
Can you say E for effort? Because like remember when you're in like kindergarten and you got an E for excellence? It wasn't an A.
Yeah.
Do you remember that?
I do remember that.
I remember E being like the best I could get.
It was, yeah.
So I'm going to start a new saying, guys. E for effort. Okay.
And that is the best mark that we could possibly get. So thank you very much.
Yep. Everyone's going to be like, what did you do? What? Yeah. It's kind of like the math competition.
Yeah.
What are you doing? Ooh. All right. Well, we got some fun spoilers here.
We do. So they picked players for the veto, right? Do we want to start there?
No. Where I want to start is immediately after noms.
Okay.
We just got to set the scene because Brent is a one of a kind. The beauty of Brent.
Oh, yes.
He's a one of a kind. His ego is so large that he's not pawn material. He knows he's the target. But his ego is also so large that he can't fathom a world where he gets voted out. That's not in his realm of reality. No, so he knows he's the target, but knows he'll stay.
Yeah.
So I just got to set the scene with that.
That delusion is gonna make for a great Wednesday episode, y'all. Like, oh boy, this is gonna be good to watch this all go down because not only does he believe that he is the target, but he is so confident that he will stay that he concocts a plan for the veto not to be used.
Okay, well, now go back to the veto.
But yes, now we're getting ahead of ourselves. So the veto players are Derek F. and Whitney, and who's the third? Alyssa.
And Christian, obviously.
Christian, Derek F. and Whitney. Yeah. Not Alyssa. Christian, because Christian is the one who wins the veto.
Yeah, there you go.
Yes.
He had to play because he won. Yeah. It looks like it was a ballerina type thing because they all were nauseous talking about spinning. They were wearing tutus.
Yeah. Which is also one of my favorite comps.
I know. Can't wait to see it, especially since someone really struggled. Mr. really struggled. And,
Mr. Threat.
Such a threat, you guys. You can't spin. But Christian does win. So yes, Brent. Now what are you going to do, Brent? Mastermind Brent.
Please talk us through this plan, Sarah.
Okay,
please.
Great. All right, so Christian wins, and so like to Xavier is like great. There's no reason to pull anybody down. I don't have to nominate anybody else. Fantastic. Here we are. But in Brent's reality, these are my signs for Brent's reality. He thinks that the veto could get used on Brittany and be replaced with Derek X. He comes up with this idea that this is what's going to happen. And Derek X is a number to Brent because, we should have also said, like, he knew his team was going to be upset that he was nominated. And of course, they're not voting him out. We should have set the scene with that as well.
Yeah.
So he can't afford to have Derek X go up as another nominee and lose that number. Then he might be in trouble here. So an alliance that hasn't been talked about too much is called Mafia. And that's the Aces, Brent's team, and the Queens, that's Kylan's team with Tiffany and Claire. They have a fake alliance. It's just for Brent. Nobody cares about it. But so he goes to Kylan and he's like, okay, here's my plan. I need you and your team to take Xavier and his team and tell them, if you don't use the veto, if you keep noms the same, we promise to vote Brent out. We got you. We'll vote Brent out. And he's like, you can bring Derek X into the fold too. Bring him up. And Derek will also promise to vote me out.
And they're like, we will promise that, Brent. We will promise to vote you out. I'm sure they're like just stunned. Like, how is this falling into our lap here?
Truly.
Oh, right. It's because Brent is delusional in everything.
They're like, you just named our alliance the Royal Flush. You just told the Royal Flush to get together, is what Brent said. And Brent thinks that all this, and on top of this, cherry on the cake, this is a test for Alyssa.
Yes.
Will Alyssa run this info back to Brent? Or not?
Yes,
That's
she will, because she's also in the Royal Flush. And so they're going to tell her, Alyssa, this is a test and you need to run it back to Brent. And she's like, done. I'll do it.
Literally, they get together and they're like, okay, so we're supposed to tell you this. And Alyssa, you're supposed to run it back. And they're all like, cool. So plan's still the same? Everybody good? We're all still voting Brent out. And he's told us to tell you that we're voting him out. Okay, noms aren't changing. Okay, great.
Yeah.
Kylan and they bring it back to Brent. All good. We did it.
Good. Good to go.
And then today at the veto ceremony, obviously Christian doesn't use the veto. Noms are still Brent and Brittany. And Brent is literally making the rounds and like, I got him. Xavier, I got him. He's so dumb. He doesn't even see it.
Oh. Brittany's gone. I'm staying. Xavier doesn't know. Oh, this is going to be good on Brent, right? Like he is so pleased with himself. And little does he know that literally it's probably going to be a unanimous vote. He's not going to get one vote to stay unless there's a hinky vote. And that's going to be great. I have heard rumblings on the feeds that the Aces plan to let him know like 15 minutes before the eviction. And Brittany is also apparently upset. Brittany also feels like Brent needs to know. I'm like, Brittany, shut up. Nobody cares. Like, let them do what they're going to do. You're on the block. Okay. Like, let the house do what they want, because I want him to be blindsided.
I need it. I need it so badly because, Brittany just wants the truth out for her. Like, she just doesn't want to be the target. But girl, I hear you. I don't think Xavier should have done this plan in the first place. But now that we're here, there's no reason to change course. Okay. Stay
literally
on the road. Okay. You're going to stay. Brent's going to leave, and he genuinely thinks he's got his team's vote. He thinks he's got the Queen's votes. And he today had the nerve to say he thinks he got the Joker's votes, Brittany's teammates. I don't understand, but he thinks that he did it.
Yeah.
So
he does.
Please don't warn him. Please don't warn him.
Please don't. But I have a feeling the team is going to. I don't know why they need to. Like, he's not even going to jury. Who cares? Like, let's get a really delicious blindside before you all have to worry about jury management. You know what I mean? But maybe his team is going to tell him, maybe not. But part of the reason, most of the reason that he is believing that this worked is just because of his own delusions of grandeur, right? Like, I'm such a good player and I have these great relationships and da-da-da. But the house is also doing their part of making him feel safe, right?
Oh my God.
And there are so many conversations that are happening where they're like, you're good. Like, Brittany's the target. Don't even worry. I think that Alyssa is the only conversation where she was like, you actually might be Xavier's target. And he's like, but it's all good because I have the house. So Xavier actually doesn't matter. It's okay.
And I think she was more just like, wait, are you the target? Just having general conversation with him. Let's talk it through. And, he just wouldn't even entertain. Because again, his ego is so big that he, of course, is the target, but his ego is so big that he would never be voted out. It's just a brilliant combination. That's so great to watch. Yeah. All of his conversations that he's just making the rounds. He's making the rounds and people just literally are like, yeah, I gotta go to the bathroom. I think I'm gonna go get some food. They just they keep leaving him, and then he has to go interrupt a different group, and then it's so obvious, but he's so not aware.
No. Yeah, I have a friend like that. Where you you could literally walk out of a conversation in the middle of it with him and he'd be like, that's normal. There's nothing wrong there. Just totally bad at like reading any kind of social cues, and Brent just keeps missing those social cues. That they're basically like throwing darts at a bullseye with him in terms of these social cues, you know, like, we are not on your side. We are definitely voting you out, Brent. And he's like, what? He's like dodging them. Like, oh, no. I don't want any kind of hint that I'm going to go home.
But the acting is pretty delicious as well. Cause you know, he'll say like, I've got these votes, and they're like, yes, of course. Like, I would never turn on you. Of course you have my vote. Like, they are giving him. There was a moment today when he said, I have the Joker's votes, which I was like, oh my gosh.
Yeah, that's another level.
But Kylan was like, ooh, really? Like, I was like, Kylan, you're giving me life. This is so good.
Yeah. It must be fun for them too, right? Like, I would love being on the other side of this with Brent. Like, oh, wow, you have all those votes, huh? Good for you, Brent. You are just so good at this. Like, I would be feeding into it too. I would have the best time with this.
Yeah. And he's, you know, he has enacted like his future plans too, right? So Thursday, he's so ready. He's going to be looking right at Xavier when they read the votes so that he can say checkmate to Xavier when he stays. And then Xavier can't play HOH. So nothing he can do about it at that point. Yeah. And so he'll put Xavier, or the house, he says things like the house will go after Xavier and Christian. And it's just like, has anyone given you that information? Like, you just speak, you don't bring in info. You just put it out there. And I was worried this week was going to be boring, but it is not.
It is not. No, it is. Yeah. I mean, it is strategically pretty boring, right? Like, we saw Brent as the target. Brent is going home. Like, I want a little bit messier than that, ideally, but this is just entertaining in its own way, and I love it.
Yeah. There's been some great strategic talks. You know, it's not like it's totally dead, but it's all future stuff that you know is going to change by the day, you know, and people are, you know, deciding who, you know, what they're going to do going forward. And I do think that we're not going to have another house target. Like, we've had 3 somewhat house targets here these first 3 weeks, but I do not feel like we will have it moving forward. Good. Even within our majority alliance, they can't agree on who to target. So it really is going to depend on who gets power and which way the wind blows next week and moving forward. We're actually, even though we still have so much gameplay left, it feels like we're getting down to it because of all these little alliances.
Yeah. No, it's like Judgment Day for a lot of these alliances, right? Like, there's going to come a point where people are going to have to pick their loyalties to which group they actually feel they can go a long way with, you know, like, you can't keep all these alliances for too long. So, and I think we only have one more week of teams after this, right? Yeah,
this should be it. The 4th. We only had 4 weeks, and there really have been like thinking team mentality. So it'll be interesting to see how that shifts after the 4 weeks are up and their teams are up. I really liked that you were safe if the HOH was on your team. I think that's what really forced them to think like a team. It didn't create, you know, one large alliance. Frenchie did, and then that died. Yeah. So I really have enjoyed this team twist so far.
I have too. It's been fulfilling. You know, I mean, they figured out a way to make it work with, like, the Royal Flush is basically just 2 teams aligning. So that's kind of formed a big alliance, but they also pulled in Derek X, who's on the Aces. So yeah, I've enjoyed the team twist a lot, but the Kings, I feel like, are a target unless they can win safety, because now if Brent goes home, then we've lost, you know, one person from each team. So
the Queens, I would say, are in the best position. That hasn't changed. Tiffany and Kyland and Claire are sitting really, really pretty. But the rest of them are potentially targets, and I love it.
Yep, me too.
I love it. I honestly would love to see a Brittany HOH.
Me too, because she's like kind of the one outsider. I mean, she's definitely like in with her team. Like we see that she and Ozza are close and whatever.
But her whole
But
team's
like,
an outsider.
yeah, right. Exactly. Like strategically, Brittany's just not positioned like anyone else in the house. So that's kind of a chaotic week that I would be excited for.
Yeah, I mean, whenever someone is totally disrespected in the game, I would just love to see them get power and see what they're gonna do, and then everyone scramble because they've just like you can
written
get
her
power.
off.
Yeah, exactly. But I think the HOH is going to be a random crapshoot of an HOH anyway. I think for this 4th week, while we still have teams and we still have a wild card comp, it's going to be this like quickie type HOH. So who knows who it'll be? I also think it's harder to throw those. So even though some people think they're going to throw, maybe they won't. I don't know. It'll be really interesting.
It will. Yes.
Mm-hmm. Well, that has been our fun Brent delusional weekend of feeds. Again, I don't think we're going to have any like vote talk this week. Brent thinks he's got it. Brittany knows she has it. But that does open the door to see, who people are targeting in the future and who people are really aligning with.
Yes, absolutely.
That's what we'll see this week.
Good stuff.
Well, you guys who joined us in the chat, thank you so much. We really appreciate it.
We do. And if you're joining us later, let us know what you think of this week of Brent delusion, of Xavier's gameplay.
About Xavier. Please tell me.
Yeah.
How
do you think he handled this HOH? And which alliances do you think are gonna last for the long haul?
Yes.
Let us know what you think.
Do you want to see a total blindside for Brent? I mean, honestly, if you're going to keep it a secret, why tell him right before? Come on.
I know. Don't do it.
Don't do it. Come on, guys.
Somebody go and yell over the wall and tell him not to tell Brent.
All right. I'll be back tomorrow with a live feed updates. Oh, actually, I'm going live early tomorrow. I will have Miranda and Busy on for a draft update.
Fun.
That'll be at 3 p.m. Pacific, 6 p.m. Eastern. Then Wednesday. Oh my gosh, Josh, are you still here? Oh, sorry, I'm doing the wrong things. Josh from Couch Potato Queens is joining me on Wednesday after the show.
Fun.
I picked the well, I don't know what y'all are talking about, but that's
Yep.
I'm mid conversation. That's Wednesday. And then of course on Thursday, David will be back for the eviction episode and we'll talk about all of that fun stuff. So we'll see you guys then. Bye.
All right. Bye.